Don't pay upwards of $7 for cold brew coffee at a cafe when you can make it at home for less than 50 cents per serve. Let me show you how to do that. First things first, guys, make sure you're using a really good quality coffee bean to start with, not ground, coffee bean. So I cannot recommend highly enough that you try the Changing Habits organic mold-free coffee. Not only is it organic and mold-free, it's always freshly roasted, and it is the best tasting and smelling coffee I've ever had in my life, hands down, cafe or at home. So you'll need 50 to 100 grams of coffee, 50 to 60 grams if you're making 1 liter of cold brew, or obviously if you want to make 2 liters in one go, then use 100 to 120 grams. So pop the scales on your Thermomix and then weigh in that coffee. Now, the other important thing is when we're grinding our coffee for cold brew, we want to do a coarse grind. Whereas when you're doing coffee for other alternative types like espresso, you want to do it nice and fine. But for this style of coffee, you want to do it nice and coarse. So we're looking for like a raw sugar style coarseness. To achieve that, we are going to put your Thermomix on for 15 seconds first, and then up on a speed of 9. Okay, now I'm gonna scrape that down and go for another probably 15 seconds. Yeah. So probably 10, I'll check it after that. So we can see that that is quite coarse still. So that's how you want it, kind of like a raw sugar or a sea salt style. So just scraping down the sides now. Now all we need to do is pop the scales on again and weigh in 1 liter of filtered water. Alright, popping the lid on, let's just blend that together. Just to mix it through, this is not essential. We could also even put the ground coffee straight into the jug and then pour the water on top. So there's a few ways to do it. That'll do. So now you just need a 1 liter jug, or a bigger than 1 liter jug, at least a 1 liter size jug. Pour it all in. Just give it a stir to make sure you're not left with any in the bowl. And pop the lid on. All you need to do now is pop this into the fridge for 18 to 24 hours. The longer you leave it, the richer and the smoother that it will be. In true cooking video style, here is one I prepared earlier. So I did the exact same thing, 50 grams of coffee with 1 liter of water. Now all you'll need is a big jug. So I like to use my Thermomix jug because it's easy to pour with. The other essential thing you'll need, other than coffee and water to make cold brew and your Thermomix to grind the beans, is a nut milk bag. Now you can see this one I keep aside purely for my cold brew because it's a little bit loved by the coffee stain. So this nut milk bag, I'll talk to you about that in a sec, but it fits the Thermomix jug perfectly by design. We're gonna pop it there and then strain this through. Now, just before you pour all the liquid out, just give it a swish so that you're not left with the coffee in the bottom. There we go, nice. So there's a couple of things to note with cold brew. It's up to 70% less acidic than regular coffee. So because it's not used, there's no heat used to process the coffee and it's brewed in cold water, it has less acidity, which is great for that low, it doesn't have any bitterness taste. Now, the other thing to note though also is that it's higher in caffeine than a regular coffee because it's been brewed over such a long time. And it's so delicious and smooth. Honestly, you will never buy an iced latte or an iced long black again once you've made this, not to mention the money that you save. So we're just gonna strain it out now and give it a gentle squeeze until all the liquid comes out. I mean, honestly, paying upwards of $7 for a cold brew in a cafe is just so ridiculous when 50 grams of coffee, just to give you an idea, that's less than 3 shots of coffee. So for less than 3 shots of coffee, you can have a litre worth, which is gonna give you like 5 coffees if you're having about 200 mils per serve. Okay, so now that's strained, and you find your jug that you want to keep it in the fridge with. Just transfer to your jug. So there you have it, 1 litre of cold brew coffee made so easily, saving yourself a whole heap of money by making it at home. To serve this, you will just pour about 200 grams into a glass with ice, and optional, add it with milk if you have your coffee with milk. This will last for 10 days in the fridge, maybe even more, which is why another reason why I recommend to use filtered, nice, clean water. Just remember that it does have a slightly higher caffeine content because it's brewed over a longer time, but it is also less acidic, so it's really nice and smooth. So let me know how you have it and if you make this at home, and I would love to hear what you think. Plus, if you want to use the same nut milk bag that I've got here, it's a premium cotton. It's made specifically to fit the Thermomix bowl. You'd be supporting a small business. I'll pop the link in the description.